más bien ya te di ingreso, pero no te da.
Okay, we are live in YouTube. I gonna put the video. I'm gonna put the video. Okay. Okay. Right. It's a big pleasure to have all yours in this first panel of discussion, the new leaders from the physical education. Thank you for all the panelists. Welcome Gunay Yildizer from Turkey, Igor Antipilogov from Russia. Welcome Marian van Asbegen. Welcome from South Africa. And Damiris Tassos from Greece. And Xavier Santaella from Catalonia, Barcelona, Spain. We are going to hear a message from the business FIEP North America, the Magister Manuel Guerrero Zainos.
Presidencia América del Norte da la bienvenida a todos ustedes a este conversatorio americano de educación física y en especial al proyecto de nuevos líderes para la FIEP. Damos la bienvenida a los participantes que agradecemos mucho su presencia, como es a Igor de Rusia, Javier de Barcelona, María de Sudáfrica, Damiris de Grecia y Gunay de Turquía. Sean ustedes bienvenidos.
Thank you for the message. It's a good time for talk for any topics. What is the posture from the physical education before, during, and after of all this pandemic COVID-19? And it's a big pleasure have 6 countries in this conversatory, in this panel discussion. It's a very honor. We are big friends to me, and I say thank you for all your work in your country. We are biggest leaders around the world, and I said one question. The first question I want say for Gunay. From your perspective, what has a physical education been like in recent years in your country?
Hi, everyone. First of all, I want to thank you, all of you, especially presidency of the FIEP North America, for welcoming us this warm panel. And I think it's very important for not just North Americans, for all of us, because recent developments, recent issues in all over the world, I mean the pandemic, affected all of us and affected our physically, we are unable to go out sometimes, do physical activity, participate in any kind of physical activity. So that's why I find this panel is very important. And about your question, Gio, I believe that the physical education was highly related to health-related base. I mean, before that, if I talk about Turkey, 15 or 20 years ago, our physical education program highly focused on motor competence. However, starting from, I guess, 2003, our program transferred to health-related physical activity, teaching health-related physical activity. And it has been almost 15 years or 17 years that we are implementing this program in our schools. And I think that's really important. And we see the results right now, because in our schools, our program aims to teach physical activity programming for children and adolescents. And I think it is not only Turkish program. When we focus on the programs from developed countries like Australia, United Kingdom, United States, we all see that the physical literacy and the health-related physical activity, one of the topic. And I think, although it is not really intense in the programs, physical fitness is also one of the main focus nowadays in the physical education programs. This is my perspective.
Thank you. Thank you for answering my question. What about you, Marianne? Can you say us what happened in South Africa before?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the welcome and for this opportunity to speak to FIEP. Physical education has been a part of our normal curriculum in South Africa. It is taught as part of the subject life orientation, and it is taught from our primary school in grade R all the way through to grade 12. In our primary schools, grade Rs to grade 3s, they have a set 2 hours per week of physical education classes. And then in the grade 4s to grade 12s, they have an allocated 1 hour per week of the subject. Unfortunately, the implementation thereof is sometimes not as effective as we would like it to be. It's often a very neglected subject in South Africa, and research has shown that in about 40% of our schools, the physical education is not taught according to the curriculum. And in many of them, it's not even taught at all. And furthermore, about 40 to 50% of the teachers who are teaching physical education in our schools are not qualified to do so. So yeah, we'll still speak about the effects of COVID, but we already have various challenges regarding physical activity and physical education in our schools in South Africa.
It's just physical education, or the scholar sport, or physical education for the health, or just is the physical education the physical education in South Africa?
No, we have various challenges. It's not only physical education. We know already of the relationship between physical education and health. We know that if physical education is presented effectively and correctly, then it will offer the opportunity for our learners to develop their physical and motor fitness, their social and emotional and psychological skills, as well as their cognitive skills. And we know that physical fitness is associated with the improvements in physical, social, psychological, emotional health, as well as academic achievement. So we have various challenges.
Thank you. And for your perspective, Damiris, what about happening in Greece?
Hello, greetings from Greece. First of all, thank you for having me here, and I hope you're doing all well during this strange situation. In Greece, I believe that although there has been an improvement in research and planning about physical education and aspects that affect children to adopt a physical active lifestyle, which is the focus on our curriculum, the implementation practices of such are still lacking. So we have unqualified physical educators, and in Greece, the evaluation system is very poor about the physical educators, and so. not effective or adequate, the evaluation system. So the quality of physical education subjects is very low. And this does not come only from the state, but also from the parents' mindset about physical education, because they are not informed about anything about physical education and not for the importance or the function of it. And both children and parents believe physical education hour in school is a free hour with no structure, with no important, it's not important subject like other school subjects. So yeah, it's and it's an issue here in Greece. And we have to say there are exceptions about physical educators, but this is the bigger picture in my country.
Thanks for answering the Miris. Xavi, what about in Catalonia?
Okay, thank you for the invitation and it's all. Well, there has been a change in the perspective of physical education in Catalonia from a few years ago. Before, physical education was only sports and focused on the physical condition of the students. And now in Catalonia has been a change in the approach to education and the subject. Now it is taught by competencies and the student is valued comprehensively. Not only is the student taught to develop their motor and sports skills, but they also learn to cooperate, manage emotions, respect in the same line than Marian, and it is. In Catalonia, physical education are 2 hours per week, and it's important in our schools in Catalonia and in Spain. It's a subject important and relevant for students, but for the whole schools. And these skills are related to the body and its motor activity, which contribute to the integral development of the person integral. And in conclusion, the main purpose is the knowledge of own body, but the reflection of the effects of motor activity. And we believe in education, in physical education, to change the life of students and the development of healthy. And we believe that it's important to life of students.
Oh, thank you. You say 2 hours or the physical education per week, and the people in your country has any activity, scholar sport or another activity, or just physical education in the curricular scholar?
Yes, these 2 hours are in the school, but there are a lot of younger than practice a lot of sports out of school, extracurricular. And it's important to remark this point. There are 2 hours per week in a school, but out of the schools, they are more activity physical or more sports in this country.
Thank you. Welcome, Igor and Pilogov from Russia. What do you say about this question? From your perspective, what has physical education been like in recent years in Russia?
Hello, thank you for your pleasure. I think in our country, physical education has been on the rise for last decade. If you compare what was be and what is now, when the live for sport culture, the growth significantly. This can be observed by the growing popularity of outdoor activities, sport section for children, the intensive growth of the fitness industry. I think people understood what height level health is the key to success future. And as a result, the attitude towards physical education has changed, not only among adults, but among children. Now, physical education, physical activities is fashion trend in our country. And I think it's a good trend. Gio?
Thank you. Thank you. What is the projection of physical education after COVID-19? I want give the word Gunay. Gunay, say what is the projection of physical education after this, after all the pandemic?
I think everything is going to turn to online. Not in some specific countries, but every country with well-developed technological background, everything might turn to online. Not maybe 100%, but the online education is going to take a huge place in the future. And in my perspective, physical education is going to be part of it. As it is really hard to give some instructional practice in physical educational on web-based or something like Zoom, I believe there are going to be enormous number of studies focusing on the self-physical fitness or physical activity programming. I mean, as a physical education teachers, we are going to teach our students to design a program for their selves to be physically active and fit. But this might be only applicable for some. It requires some level of motor development. I mean, I'm not talking about primary education level, but maybe in secondary schools, in the high schools, this could take place in the near future, or at least we should prepare ourselves for that. That's my perspective.
Oh, thank you. It's really nice to hear this answer. And what about you, Miriam? What is your point?
Right, yes, I also believe that physical education will probably lose more exposure in South Africa post-COVID. I've mentioned the challenges that we have in our classes. We've got large classes. At the moment, we are in lockdown, which means our children have not been going to school since about the 20th of March. Our grade 1s and grade 12s have returned to school. I'm uncertain of the amount of physical education that they are receiving at the moment, because I am guessing that they are focusing on their other subjects, their maths and their life sciences that they've now lost for the first few weeks. In South Africa, the children in the schools might be afraid of infection, and especially if they cannot comply with the safety regulations during physical education. It's much harder to keep surfaces clean and sanitized while you're busy throwing a ball or busy physically active. I haven't mentioned about the challenges of our large classes, sorry. So in South Africa, we have very large classes in the majority of our classes. The prescribed learner to teacher ratio is 35:1, but we've seen that in most of our schools, it surmounts this number. So classes are anything between 40 to 50 children within one classroom. So for these large classes, physical education becomes even harder. Many of our schools do not have proper facilities to teach to these large numbers, especially in physical education, which makes the safety implications even harder to apply. And we know that we'll have to constantly sanitize our mats, we'll have to clean surfaces, etc., and maintain social distancing and wear masks. And we already know I'm a keen runner, and you know how difficult it is to breathe while you are wearing a mask. So I foresee there will be many challenges. At the moment, our schools are reintegrating. They're going back to schools from 3rd of August, I believe, and then we'll have school until the 15th of December. How they are going to continue with physical education remains to be seen, I suppose, for now. Your mic.
Thank you. Thank you. And Damiris, what happened in Greece about this topic?
Okay, so here in Greece, in some private schools, online courses has been quickly put into practice. So as physical education subject, and for example, a physical educator informed the children a day before the course about what subject and what equipment they will use, so the children has to be prepared. Also, both in private and in public schools, physical educators upload instructions and physical activity projects for the children that were available in e-class. But this, although it's a good effort from physical educators and schools, it has to be more than that. A good thing I have to mention is that physical educators were giving instructions to parents on how they creatively help their children to be active. So by adjusting their living room into a volleyball court, or make an obstacle course with household items, which I find it a very good effort. But Greece was among the luckiest countries because we didn't have a lot of cases. And after 40 days of total lockdown, we managed, and our health system managed the majority of the cases. Schools reopened for adolescents above age 14, and few sports clubs, mostly with outdoor facilities, started the trainings under the recommendations of the experts, which is very hard. As Marian mentioned, it's very hard to clean all the equipment, and the distances, keep distances, wear a mask, and it's a problem that we will have to face. But I believe that we can find ourselves to use all these technological tools, Zoom, digital platforms, online courses might be used advantageously for physical education. And I think, as Gunay said, that this will be something that I think most, if not all, schools will start using online courses. But if children were inactive before in settings that can promote physical activity, we can assume that during this situation we're living and the pandemic of COVID-19, most of the children will remain inactive. So I think not only children will have to make their own training program or record themselves doing the training program, but I think as physical educators, we should develop in children the motive to be physical active. So if physical activity in general is self-regulated, and we can develop that in all the tools we use, and which is very hard, as I said, in settings that before the pandemic, I think it will be a lot more difficult to cope up with all these with online platforms and courses. So I think this is the picture.
Oh, okay. In Mexico, it's really important. Say the distance between the children. We are a very big problem with in Mexico. Have groups, the 13 or 14 kids in the class. So much kids in the class, but is the reality in the school in Mexico. Well, Xavi, what about you? what is the projection for physical education after all this?
Okay. First of all, during the pandemic, physical education has been taught at distance. The teacher and the students did the session through digital platforms, and the future is the same. So, although it's not the same, physical activity is very important in kids and adolescents. The teachers have tried to keep them doing physical activity and having contact with the rest of the classmates. I think that it's very important to learning and to teach this subject. Together, we will fight so that students don't lose healthy habits. It's priority that the students don't lose the healthy habits and physical habits. On the other hand, an important role of the teacher has been to guide the students emotionally. As far as possible, the priority should be given to face-to-face education in schools. And September, why? We cannot guarantee that all students have access to electronic devices. Also, the support by their families isn't the same. Another aspect we need to consider is the educational inequality in distance education. So in the future, physical education must be important in education and in society. Therefore, we cannot leave this subject in a second place. There are many studies that explain the importance of physical activity and physical education for physical, mental, social, and emotional health. In addition, the teacher helps students to acquire healthy habits. Obviously, you have to follow health standards, but one aspect that physical education teachers have is adaptation. Therefore, the future of physical education is based on adaptation, but don't stop doing physical education. How? A small group, safety distance, physical exercise, and work on social and emotional skills. And so it's important don't lose the emotional or the social skills with students in this case.
Okay, thank you, Xavi. And Igor, what about Russia about this topic?
In our country, this period is difficult because always schools, university closed. We don't go to work. We don't have work on students, and we're training in Zoom, Skype, but we answer many questions for your students. It's very hard, and I think it's not a good idea closed university and schools. The pandemic COVID-19 has made significant changes of people's everyday lives. With quarantine, mask, waiting, social distance, but the main thing is a restriction of the ability to move. We should have been at home. It's hard, and as a result, a lot of time was freed up, and many people don't know where to spend it. Now, during this period, sales of sport equipment for the at home increased. I think pandemic COVID-19 only strengthened the role of physical education for people. And many to begin to study during this period will continue to do so afterwards. Gio?
Thank you, Igor. And the next question, it's the next. what is the relationship between physical education and health in your country? It's a big question. What do you think about this, Gunay?
Thanks for the question again. In my country, in Turkey, the basis of health-related behaviors, especially related to physical activity, physical fitness, and reducing sedentary behaviors, the physical education is teaching all of those, base for teaching all of those. We use our physical education program to teach our youths to not to spend too much time sedentary choices, but participating in physical activity. Especially starting from 2011, our national organizations, Minister of Health, implemented some kind of survey research, and this research just depicted that our adolescents and children are highly inactive. And our Minister of Health and Minister of Education cooperated about that to use physical education to change this trend. But we haven't seen any latest results yet. But in our researches in the university, we've seen that there's a slight difference in high school group, that their physical activity level increased. So the physical education can be used as a tool to change health-related behaviors, especially physical activity and physical fitness. But it might also use as a tool to change some other health-related behaviors, such as alcohol use, cigarette use, or so on. But in my country, the basis of health-related behaviors in physical education just focus on physical activity and physical fitness. Your mic is off, man. Yeah, now.
Thank you. And Marianne, what do you think about this topic?
All right, I spoke a little bit right in the beginning about physical education and health. I've mentioned that physical education as the subject in schools forms part of life orientation. Now, I think I need to create a bit of a backdrop. In South Africa, we've got two very large continuums. We've got the very poor with malnourishment, undernourishment because of socioeconomic status, low socioeconomic status. And then we've got, on the other hand, more proficient, or people who overnourish. Let me put it that way. I'm struggling to find the word I'm looking for. So we use life orientation as the subject to teach them about healthy living. So in life orientation, they'll learn about nutrition. They'll learn about being physically active, and like Gunay mentioned, that staying less on the couch, watching less television, less time with their technology devices, and more time outdoors playing. I think this is a worldwide thing that is occurring with the advances in technology. We're seeing our kids get less and less active. So physical education is used as a tool to teach them about the pros about being physically active, and doing simple tasks like walking, like doing a little bit of housework, cleaning, things like that, to improve or to prevent obesity, diabetes. And then we also have other factors in South Africa like HIV. So they also learn in life orientation about healthy living in general.
Thank you. And Damiris, what about you?
Okay, thank you for your question. As both the previous panelists talked, Gunay and Marianne, the aim of physical educator subject is to create a physical active children, and also have developed physical fitness levels. And because, as I said before, it's the quality of the subject is very low. Most of them are focusing on the fitness part and not the physical activity part. But we know that physical activity has many health advantages, physical, psychological, social, everything. So in our country, children we are in high hierarchy in children obesity, and because of the physical education subject is very low, we'll try to make a difference. During last year there was a project we tried to put physical literacy in schools. There's a concept that about physical literacy, and we try to focus on how to develop physical activity habits in children. But all these physical okay, so I'm trying to find my words. Yeah, and physical education as a subject can help children to motivate them to be physical active in every environment. But because we are focusing on fitness and competitive sports, we're losing this game here in Greece. Gio?
Thank you. Thank you. Xavi, what happened in Spain?
Yes, in Spain, I do agree with Tassos. It's the same case. In my case, physical education is related to health in many aspects: physical, mental, emotional, social. Within the subject, we must always promote activity and make students reflect on the role of exercise in achieving healthy lifestyle habits for the general population and young people in particular. So physical education becomes a necessary and fundamental means of promoting an active lifestyle, consolidating healthy habits for the present and future of the young people. So the teacher of the subject could work together with the educational communities to strengthen these contents and generate meaningful learning to students. The benefits of physical education are more than contrasted in all subjects: physical, cognitive, social, and affective, and achieving a direct impact on the health of the student. For this reason, it's necessary to increase the number of hours of physical education per week in order to help in the task of promoting a non-sedentary lifestyle. In Spain, the work is underway to extend hours of physical education in schools. Now we have 2, and we want to expand to 3 hours. So it's very important not only practice physical activity in physical education. Moreover, the important is create habits to help for students in their life. It's my opinion.
Okay, thank you.
You're
Igor,
welcome.
what's your point about this?
I told you what in my country physical education is fashion trend now, but if we see 20 years ago, we see what physical education is not good idea. Cigarette, alcohol, yes, it's a good idea. But now our government tell us what movement is life. Many program started for sports, physical activities, fitness activities, and I think it's very good for our people. Therefore, the presence of physical education is a key to health, and it red line in our education. I think it's good because many young people don't have knowledge, don't have experience in life, and many people have bad idea, and it is not good for our country. Gio?
Thank you. Thank you. And the next topic for this panel of discussion, I prepared one question so important. Where is the really importance of the new leaders in physical education? It's a good topic. What do you think about this, Gunay?
Well, it's not just good, but it's also hard to answer this, but I try my chance. So my answer is, frankly, I think transferring the knowledge. That, for example, right here, right in this panel, we are sharing our perspectives from our countries. So we should take this knowledge to our culture and use these takeaways in our countries as a good tool. For example, right now I'm learning so many things from Tassos, from Marianne, and from Igor and Xavier, and also from you. So I'm learning different perspectives of countries, their implementations in their physical education practices. So this is a good place for sharing knowledge and transferring this knowledge to our countries. I think this is where the most important aspect of new leader idea lies. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Marianne, what do you think about this?
Yes, of course, I agree with Kanai. It's highly important. We need to raise the importance and make others aware of how important and valuable physical education is within our school structures. We need to be able to take what we learn from one another to our leaders in government and to get them to help us to enforce these things that we've learned from each other tonight, and to get the correct, effective implementation of physical education into our schools globally. We need to, I've mentioned the challenges in South Africa. We need to help each other out and find solutions to the various challenges, and then also enhance the presentation and the quality of physical education at our schools, get qualified educators in physical education, and this can have an immense positive influence on the implementation thereof in physical education in our curriculums, I think, globally.
Okay, thank you. Daimiris, what do you think about this?
Okay, so for me, when you have all these meetings, and past few years in Barcelona, which was my first meeting with the new leaders, I find it extremely good to just hear from people that not only all over the world has a different opinion we can take and adopt in our cultures, but also share knowledge that we don't know everything. We try to with research and with a good planning, we try to implement this knowledge to our system, our culture. So I think that all these new leaders updating our knowledge, and we try to find solutions to challenges in which new generations won't have to face. So if I take one thing from each conversation, despite if it's in another country or in another system, and try to manipulate or to find something good about it, so to implement it in our country, I think it's very, very good to go from theoretical, which is these ones, the online panels, congresses, when the situation allowed it, to actually in practice, to make it happen. So yeah, just a little thing matters from this kind of meetings. I don't know if I said it correctly, but yeah, this is my view.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. And Xavier?
Yes, these congress are amazing to grow the physical education and make friends of the new leaders. So for my opinion, the new leaders, we are the teachers or students or researchers that who promote the change, and we are the motor of new physical education. So teachers have to innovate, but with scientific rigor. Teachers have to propose changes to improve the education of the students with humility, respect, but also with illusion and motivation. And the new leaders promote these changes. For me, it's also important to create networks between teachers in the same country, but also between countries like Turkey, Greece, Mexico. It's very important. For this reason, this will grow physical education quality in the world, and this quality affect on the educational results in our students, and so it's very important to increase the physical education in this line. Okay, thank you.
It's a really nice hear something like this. I think all the things in the world were changing, and I asked me why the physical education don't be different, no? After all this, but it's a question personally. And Igor, what do you think about this question? What is the importance the new leaders for physical education? What do you think about?
I think the task of new leaders in transformations and a baggage of knowledge and experience, as well as updating new knowledge in physical education, taking into account the exciting futures of modern life. It's my opinion. Gio?
Okay, and finally, it's time to over this panel of discussion, and I want here the conclusions for this exercise for all yours. Gunay, what is your conclusion for this panel of discussion?
Basically, my conclusion is that I think we all are totally agree that the physical education won't be the same in next couple years because of the new lifestyle of the population, world population, specifically after the COVID-19. And the technology is going to be important because there is, as Marian highlighted, there there are going to be some hygiene problems and problems related to mask, and it's hard to practice with mask in physical education. So the physical education is definitely, as you emphasized, going to change. It won't be the same.
Thank you, Yunai. And Marianne, what do you think about what is your conclusion? What is your opinion on all this?
I think we have to evolve and roll with the punches, and I don't think it's a barrier to COVID should be a barrier to continue with being physically active. Yes, we'll have to adjust in how we implement it at our schools, how we perhaps it is a sign that we as parents should also become more involved again back and take some responsibility ourselves for physical education of our own children. I don't know, but like I said, roll with the punches and just don't lie down and say, oh no, COVID has destroyed us. That would be my conclusion.
Okay, thank you. And Daimedes, what is your conclusion for all this?
Okay, first of all, yes, everything or most of the things will change. We have to use the new technology. We have to adjust with it, adjust with the whole situation in order to be functional, sorry, yeah. And the whole situation might, I think that we had the tools, but now it's a chance to use them. So in order to, in all countries, to increase and focusing on the physical activity and the health adaptations. So yeah, this is my opinion.
Okay, thank you, Daimedes. And Xavi, what is your conclusion for this panel discussion, my bro?
Yes, that for my opinion, we have to adapt to this situation. This pandemic is very bad for teachers, for students, for the society. So we have to adapt. We propose a physical education for all-inclusive physical education, a physical education that develops transversal competences and not only sports or only physical activity. A physical education for life, so also do everything possible for the students. And finally, we have to ask ourselves why soccer stadiums open earlier than schools, bars than schools, the beaches than schools. So finally, my conclusion is we have to prioritize education because, as Mandela said, education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world. And I hope that this pandemic change the priorities and put the focus in education, because it's the most powerful weapon that changed the world, as said Mandela. Thank you.
Thank you, Xavi. And your conclusion, Igor, for this panel discussion?
I think in this situation, it is necessary to use the most modern methods of exchanging information in order to adapt existing knowledge and different contents on physical education. Because only this trip help us change situation and helped many people up level health. Maybe not. It's my opinion. Gio?
Hey, it's a big pleasure see you again.
It's lovely.
Marianne, Igor, Xavi, Daimedes. In Barcelona, I live one good thing for my life. I meeting biggest friends to me, and it's a pleasure compare this panel of discussion with us. I say thank you in name of FIEP North America Vice Presidents, and we have a symbolic recognition for your participation. And before and after I delivery in your email, but right now
Okay, thank you so much.
yes,
Thank you.
and now wait a minute. Is necessary. Aquí está. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Okay. Well, and you can see.
Cool.
Okay. International Federation of Physical Education, Vice President, FIEP North America, the first American panel of discussion, the organizing committee and the FIEP North America Vice Presidents grant this recognition to Daimiris Anastasios Paraskevas for his outstanding participation as a panelist, the first American discussion called Vicissitudes, Challenge and Actuality of the Physical Educator, under the theme New Leaders of Physical Education, which was carried out to some digital platform from June 10 to 27, 22. The scene, the Magister Manuel Guerrero Zainos, Vice President, FIEP North America. Clap for you, brother.
No. Thank you so much for having us.
Say the same thing, but just change the name. The organizing committee and the FIEP North America Vice President grant this recognition to Gunay Jill Deezer.
Thank you. Gracias.
And the organizing committee and the FIEP North America Vice Presidents grant this recognition to Igor and Pilogov.
Thank you.
And the organizing committee and the FIEP North America Vice President grant this recognition to Marianne van Answegen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And the organizing committee and the FIEP North America Vice President grant this recognition to Javier Santaella Oler.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Well, the president, the world president of the FIEP wants save one message, and I wanna give the word, okay? Professor Almir Grum, você vai falar para nós.
Olá.
Professor Almir.
Olá.
Você vai falar para nós.
Sim. E você vai traduzir?
Eu posso fazer, tento.
Uma tradução bem simples.
Não olhamos a sua câmera. Pode ativar?
Pode ativar.
Obrigado.
Obrigado.
Aí está.
Ok,
Obrigado.
ok. Podemos?
We can.
Eu vou falar despacito para você traduzir algumas mensagens.
Fala devagar.
Sim, sim. Nosso saludo aos componentes da live News Líderes.
He wants have
Participantes.
I don't find the word. It's a pleasure to see all the new leaders.
La FIEP Mundial está muito honrosa pelo trabalho dos News Líderes.
The new FIEP leader is very happy with all the work the FIEP New Leaders program.
Em la América do Sul e Central, vamos começar com trabalho muito importante.
We are make some work in all America with the New Leaders program.
Sí. La idea es tener una persona que representa los tres continentes, Sur, América del Sur, Central y Norte.
We found the person in charge the North America, America Central, and South America. One person.
E com isto, pensamos que possamos os news leaders em las Américas crescer.
We want grown up the New Leaders FIEP program in America.
Ok. Esse é o nosso saludo. Muitas graças. Parabéns a todos. Tchau, tchau.
Thank you for your participation and ciao, ciao.
Gracias.
Muito obrigado.
Muchas gracias.
Muito obrigado pela sua mensagem. A sua labor é muito grande. Ficamos muito engraçados por ter tanto carinho para os novos líderes da FIEP. Nós somos o potencial de nossa carreira e nós ficamos muito felizes porque você confia em nós.
Graças. Que bom. Igualmente.
Thank you. That is all. I say thank you for your participation. Good night. Thank you for your points, Marianne. Great inspiration with your words. For me, it's nice to hear you again. Damiris, your participation is very, very brilliant. I feel very interesting with your all do you talk with us. And Igor, you're welcome too. I know it's very, very difficult talk in English for one Russian, but thank you for all your efforts. And Xavi, thank you. It's a nice talk again with you. It's very, very important. Also, we need to make so big as this group. It's the time for make some different for the physical education, and the FIEP New Leaders can be the difference in this place. Thank you for your participation, and see you again.
See you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Gio. Thanks for organizing.
Thank you.
Thank you
Keep
so
well,
much.
everyone.
Thank you.
Good care of
See you.
you.
Regard.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Gio, muy bien, muchas felicidades.
Muchas gracias, profe. Pues ahí más o menos le hicimos.
Y agradecemos mucho la presencia del doctor Almir. Muy buen mensaje.